Hello everyone out there. Can you guys hear me? I'm gonna rely on the people viewing out there to let me know if you can hear me before we move much further. Can you guys hear me out there? I think you can. You should be able to. Looks like we have a couple people viewing. For those of you tuning in, can you hear me out there? Hello, Lynn. How are you? And you guys can hear me, so that's perfect. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining the Configura live stream. As you can see, my view is a little bit different today, and that is because I'm in Sweden. I am in our Linköping offices here, our headquarters of Configura. So Linköping, Sweden is where that's at, and I am here. If you were tuning in to my very first live stream, which was 2.5 years ago at this point, then this background looks a little bit familiar to you because that is where my very first live stream is, or this is where my very first live stream was. So if you're out there and you were on my very first live stream, now we're back, and thank you so much for tuning in again. I am Kelsey DeBruin, and I am here to tell you some tips and tricks of CET Designer, and actually the specific topic today is going to be related to CET Designer Patch 3, because there was some really cool stuff that came out in there, and we thought, hey, it's a good idea to tell you those cool little tips, tricks, just in case you've noticed some changes. We actually had a CET Designer forum post asking to review some of these changes, so I believe that was Tamara Campbell that posted that. So thank you, Tamara, for actually looking at those release notes and checking out some features and letting us know that you wanted to know more about Patch 3. That is why we are here. So I have you guys on my phone so I can see your comments. So let's see who we have here. Hey, Martha, how's it going? Yeah, Lynn, I haven't seen you tune in for a few times, but so glad that you are back to join us. Of course, there's a giveaway today, so you will probably be the winner of that. Hey, Kelsey. Miss you. And hello, Sam. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Let's just dive right into it here today and talk about CET Designer Patch 3. Gonna change my view for a second, just so that you learn how you can win the giveaway, because of course we have to cover that before we can get into the tips and tricks for today. As you guys know, there's always a giveaway on the Configura live stream. So just because we're in Sweden, we're not going to change that. There's going to be a giveaway. And as usual, for tips and tricks, that is an Amazon gift card. Not that you guys couldn't see this from far away, but just in case you want a closer look, here it is. So this could be all yours if you throw up a heart or give a heart or hit that little heart button at some point when you hear a tip or a trick or a feature that you love. Do that little heart and you will be entered into a random drawing for the gift card. So make sure at some point when I start getting into the features, when you hear one you like, throw up a heart. You will be in the random drawing that we will do at the end of this thing. I'm going to try to do it on my end. Normally I have Kelsey doing that for me where she does the hearts and find out who the winner is, but I'm going to try it on my end. Who knows? I might be able to do it. If I can't, we'll still do the random number generator, and then I'll do the counting offline, and in the comments I'll let you guys know who won the gift card, but we'll keep our fingers crossed. I might be able to figure it out. Who knows? All right, so throw up a heart, give that love anytime you hear a feature, a tip, a trick, a something that you like as we start talking about Patch 3. So, Patch 3, that was released very recently. A couple things I want to show you as far as resources that you have for knowing when new updates come out and how you can find out the information about what that update entailed. That's what I want to show you guys first, and then of course I'll cover the few really cool things that made it into that Patch 3 update. Hope you guys love them, because at some point you're going to have to love something so you can win the gift card. But let's change my view here. My video is going to go away, but hopefully you guys can still hear me out there. If something happens with the audio, just let me know. I'm keeping an eye on the comments there and on the chat box. Morning, Chad. It's funny saying morning, Chad, because it's actually 5 p.m. here, Sweden time. So the day is wrapping up for us in Sweden, but it's maybe just starting for some of you. But good morning. Good morning, good afternoon, have a good evening, whatever time zone you're in. Let's just cover all of those right now. Okay, so again, we are here to talk about some of the new features in patch 3. And just if you're like, whoa, I didn't even know patch 3 was a thing, here's a couple things you want to pay attention to. So of course, this CET Designer briefcase is always going to let you know when there's a big patch or an update. So here is that post in the CET Designer briefcase. If you want to make sure that you're seeing these posts, come up here and turn your notifications on. So come up to the settings area in the briefcase and turn on your notifications. You can actually choose whether you get notifications for new posts, comments on posts you've participated in, and all activity, and then just hit save. That way you'll get an email anytime anything happens in this specific briefcase. So here is where we have that information that there was a patch. And from here, we can actually get directly to the release notes. So there's quite a few ways you can get to the release notes. You can get there right from the support page, or if you're already on this briefcase, just use these few links here. Another resource that you can use as far as just asking questions, getting answers from the community about what was in this new patch, you can always go to our CET Designer forum. That's in the support dropdown. The CET Designer forum has a post specific to 9.5 and then the following patches after that. And you can post that information there in the forum. And that's actually what led us to talk about patch 3 today. Getting to those release notes, I just want to show you guys those because that is what includes the in-depth information about what was in patch 3. I'm just looking at my comments chat. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Yeah, that is like the most true statement at this moment. Sam just had a 3 p.m. meeting with Configura Sweden at 9 a.m. Yeah. We always have to be very careful when we're booking our meetings. Make sure everybody is in the office at the same time. Okay, so patch 3. So you're actually still going to go to the CET Designer 9.5 release notes. When we add patches after 9.5, after any future releases, the patches that come in between those main releases twice a year still get attached to those same release notes. So we can see patch 3 is right there. That was March 27th that it was released. And then there's all the information for patch 3. So the things that I want to show you guys, because this is the tips and tricks live stream after all, would be the remover tool or updates to the remover tool. Of course, you guys know that's already a thing. Updates to the reconfiguration and then updates to part tagging. There's solved issues here as well. So if you were dealing with a bug or an issue and you want to see if it was fixed, you can see those too. So always pay attention to those posts in the briefcase, the posts in the forum, and then, of course, come out and take a look at the release notes so you know what those updates were. Let's head out to CET Designer here and start looking at some of those new updated features. If you haven't updated yet, you should go do that. If I'm showing you these features and you're like, hey, my tools don't do that, make sure you're updated. So if you ever are unsure if you're updated, there might be a big message here showing you that, yes, you do have updates you need to complete. If you don't see this message here, but you just want to check for updates, help pull down, check for updates. Make sure you're on the most current version of CET, because otherwise you'll be missing out on all this cool functionality if you're not. Okay, update to the remover tool. This one's actually kind of cool. When you grab onto the remover tool in your 2D or 3D toolbar, your remover tool is then on the end of your cursor. Of course, in originally how it works, and it still functions this way, where it lets you hover over individual objects and delete them. But now it supports dragging a rectangle to get rid of large chunks of things at once. And the direction that you drag the rectangle in will actually change how it functions a little bit. So if you drag from the top, so what you do to drag is you just left click and hold and start dragging. If you drag from the top, that rectangle starts generating, as you can see. An item can fall within, or it actually only has to cross that rectangle line. When you release your left mouse click, it's going to delete anything that rectangle line crossed. Now you'll see it did not delete this pedestal, and that is because that pedestal did not fall within, or that this line did not cross this pedestal. Now, the reason it got rid of those pedestals up there in those upper two left stations is because those are blocks. And so CET is going to delete that entire block if the line crosses it. But the reason it didn't delete this little pedestal is because I was not crossing over it. So the line just has to cross over something, or of course, if it does fully fall within the rectangle, that will be removed as well. Now, if you drag up from the bottom, notice how my rectangle is actually a dotted line now. That is a visual cue for you to know what functionality your remover tool has at this point. If you drag from the bottom up, you're going to get that dotted line, and that's going to mean that an item needs to fall fully within the remover to actually be deleted. Now, one thing that's interesting about this tool is if you do hover closer to something, it's still going to snap to the object closest, and that object that it does snap to will also be removed, even if it doesn't fully fall within the rectangle. So at this point, if I start dragging, based on what I have here, hopefully you guys can start to guess what's going to happen. It's going to get rid of that workstation with the pink chair. It's going to get rid of that workstation that's fully highlighted in red, but it's not going to get rid of those other two workstations because dragging in this method, I need to fully enclose my objects to delete them. So let's hope this works how I just said it was going to. I'm going to release my left click. There we go. So you'll see this guy went away because it fully fell within the rectangle. This guy went away because the remover tool was snapped to it. These two stuck around, and that was because they did not fully fall within the rectangle. All right, so just remember when you drag from the top, you do have to have that remover tool on the end of your cursor. When you drag from the top, the items just have to cross the rectangle to be deleted. When you drag from the bottom, they have to fully fall within, or the tool has to be actually snapped to that object. All right, that is new with patch 3. Another new or updated functionality. So this functionality is not new. The reconfiguration tool has been around for a while, but there has been some updates to it. Nothing super crazy major, but it's actually kind of cool. So hopefully everything is working well for you in that reconfiguration tool if you have updated. Just a quick FYI, with this update, if you're experiencing any issues, make sure that you do the help pull down and report issue with attached drawing. But with the reconfiguration tool, again, this one has been around. It's a free extension you can download from the marketplace. Go to the reconfiguration tool, start it up. You'll notice that visually it does look a touch different as far as we have a few new colors here. So that's always an option to change those, and that's still an option. If you want to change the color of any of your bubbles, you can just easily do that by selecting the bubble and then modifying that in the green properties box. But what we're looking at here as far as changes in patch 3 or updates in patch 3, you now have a mode that you can choose from here. And this mode is mostly related to your view settings and either having just some standard functionality available in those view settings, or if you do switch yourself into advanced, you have a few more functionalities in those view settings. The reason that standard mode is there is because those view settings are going to be set up how you would typically want to see them, or how you would maybe on average want to see them in the reconfiguration tool. But of course, we want you to be able to use those view settings in any way that you want. So that's when you can switch to the advanced mode, and then you have way more control over your view settings if you do that. If you load any of your old reconfiguration files, you are going to default to being standard, but you could modify that as well. Also, if you load any view setting files, because you guys know you can load view settings files, if you load any and you are using some kind of advanced functionality, it's automatically going to switch you into advanced mode. I'm going to get a drawing loaded here in my bubbles really quickly. This is not the live stream to talk about how this tool works, but if you want to know about that, then definitely request that, because we can do a live stream dedicated to just that. So I'm just going to get stuff loaded here quickly, just in case we need it, who knows. And let me show you the difference here between standard and advanced. So I am in standard right now. If I switch myself to advanced, you'll see visually that background color in that diagram area turns a light purplish color. So that's for me to visually know that I'm in advanced mode. And if I were to open up my view settings now, one of the big changes that I notice is this add column button. That add column option is not there if you go into standard. So you'll see it's very easy to toggle yourself into standard or advanced. When I toggle into advanced, there's that add column button. So again, in the advanced mode, you have additional functionality in the view settings area, but that standard mode is set up for you to be, on average, how you would use the reconfiguration tool. So hopefully it will be a simpler process for you, not having to worry so much about your view settings. Just looking at comments. I see Sierra is watching. Hello, Sierra. Nice improvement on the remover, Chad. Yay, glad you like it. Annalise, I like these live tips. Yay, okay. Thank you guys for tuning in there. Okay, so that's a big change there. And then one other big change that I want to point out. So your compare bubble. We are used to seeing that compare columns button right here. And with this compare columns button, that's where you would choose what the reconfiguration tool is comparing. That compare thing is over here in this drop down now, and you'll see by default you are comparing options and part number, which is a good thing. You used to not compare options by default, so you always had to come in and turn that options on because of course you want the reconfiguration tool comparing options. That is now on by default. So by default you're comparing part number and you're comparing options, which is great. If you do want to compare by additional things, you still can. What you'll do is you'll open up your view settings and you'll see there is this grouping and compare tab now. And then in this compare by column, you will choose what you additionally want to compare by. So CET Designer is going to compare your existing and your proposed, and it's going to compare it based on what you have chosen here. Based on what you have chosen here, that's what's going to automatically direct things to the new to proposed, reuse from existing, or excess. And then another big change that you might have noticed is this compare bubble now only has very helpful columns visible. It used to be a mass amount of columns visible when really these were the super important ones that are showing right now. So those are by default the only ones visible, but of course you can open up those view settings and modify that if you would like. All right, those are some of the big changes in the reconfiguration tool. So if you are a big user of the reconfiguration tool, definitely play around with it and let us know what you think. Of course, let us know what's working, what's not. A fabulous place for that, again, is to actually use the CET Designer 9.5 forum post. That's a great place to ask questions, see if you can get feedback from anybody else using it. At some point, oh yeah, I remember I used the remover tool to get rid of those. I was like, at some point I removed things, but yeah, that's what the reconfiguration has to offer. Last thing that I want to show you, and I hope you guys will be excited about this one. Lynn, so much better for the reconfig tool. Okay, yay! Glad you guys are enjoying that one, or you like the idea of it so far. But last big thing, this might seem like a small thing. It was just like a tiny little note in the release notes, but I think you guys will find this one beneficial. Of course, there could be some additional updates and some new features coming out in relation to this, but I think we are definitely making a step forward and making some progress in part tagging with blocks. So in the past, prior to patch 3, if you were in edit block mode, and you opened up your part tagging dialog box, none of the tags that you had created and used will show up in that part tagging dialog. So the part tagging dialog, you guys know, looks like this. This is a free tip here. If you did not have a keyboard shortcut bound to part tagging yet, go do that because it's so helpful. Just go bind a keyboard shortcut to part tagging, and then you'll never have to come all the way over here and choose part tagging again. Part tagging, so we're familiar with the look of this dialog. In the past, if you were to get into edit block mode, this would completely go away, basically, and you would not see any tags that you had created or used. In patch 3, that functionality has been updated. So let's actually look at this quickly here. Let's say I have a few tags that I want to create. I am literally just going to create a few called chair 1 and chair 2. just to show a few examples here. Would you ever create a tag called chair 1 and chair 2? Not sure, but this is going to show that functionality. Okay, so we have some tags here under tag 1. In the past, once I get into edit block mode, those will go away, and actually so will all of these categories, but that should be working now where it doesn't happen. So there we go. Part tagging is still going to show my different part tags here. And what that means is I am now going to be able to tag items individually within my block. So that was not an option prior to this. It was either everything goes on the block or none of it goes on the block. I mean, technically you could come in here and you could have created additional tags and then tagged things individually, but they were not linked back to the drawing, which means they were not linked back to calculations, which is not super helpful. But now they are linked with the drawing, which means if I were to individually tag in here, let me just grab this chair because, hey, chair 1, let's grab a chair. That tag will still stick back into the drawing. Now, one thing that I want to point out, so these are blocks, and these 3 blocks up here are identical. So I went into edit block mode, I tagged a chair. It says 1 individual chair, but these 3 blocks are all identical copies of one another. So if I open up calculations, I will see this line number 3 here. This is those 3 chairs. They all have that chair 1 tag. So that is the rule of blocks. You modify 1, all of the identical copies will modify. You are still following that rule. So just keep that in mind. Again, I technically only tagged this 1 chair, but since these are blocks, this chair and this chair also got this exact same tag. Now, if you're working with different blocks, like this is actually a clone block down here, but it could just be any other block, you could give them a different tag. So we'll do chair 2 here. Back to the drawing, and we will see that this guy will be able to retain that tag that I've given it. So the fact that it is a separate block will let me tag it differently, which is good. But I think the fact that when you tag this 1 chair, the other identical copies also tag, I think that makes sense because that is the rule of blocks. All right. And then, of course, those tags that you have created, like I've shown, you can tag things in block mode, but you can also just use them in your regular drawing mode too. So if these chairs that are not in blocks were also part of the chair 1 tag, I can also individually grab those. And then I should be able to see that 5 chairs have that tag 1. There it is. So 5 of those chairs have tag 1, and still only 1 of those chairs has the chair 1 and chair 2 tag. Lynn, I'm going to guess the reason it says only, so it's, Lynn's asking, why doesn't it say 3 things are tagged? It only said, prior to this, it only said 1 individual item was tagged. I'm going to guess that was because I just had that 1 block worth of items tagged. So since the block is identical copies, it still only read it as 1 individual item being tagged. Thankfully, the calculation view is still correct. I would agree that it is kind of interesting that it doesn't read 5 individual items were tagged, but the reason that it only reads the 1, or prior to this it only read the 1, is because it was that same block. It reads 3 now because I went and grabbed 1, 2, and then all of these identical blocks are counting as only 1 additional. Again, that's only in this part tagging dialog. The calculation view is still reading with the correct quantities, which is good. But I would send in a feature request so that it can read every individual item, whether it's in a block or not, because I do think that would be helpful. It could be a touch confusing if you are literally just paying attention to this and you're not referencing back to what actually is in the calculation view. But that is new with part tagging. So hopefully you guys will find that beneficial. We've seen that feature request and we've seen tickets quite a bit regarding that exact functionality. So hopefully that helps you guys out a little bit. And those are the tips that I wanted to show you guys. Any other questions out there on the tips before we move into the giveaway for today? I see Melissa, great tips, awesome. Lynn, yes, that would be helpful. Okay, let's actually just send it in right now. Anybody else that thinks it would be helpful, you guys send it in too. When tagging within a block, show the actual quantity within part tagging dialog. Hopefully that will make sense. I think it does. Mary Beth, can you do a webinar on reconfiguration in the future? Absolutely we can. Good request there. We'll kind of decide whether that makes sense to do it as a live stream or an actual free webinar, but that is a fabulous request. I'm writing it down right now so I don't forget. Okay, good. All right. I think we're good out there. I don't see anything additional coming through here. So let's try the random number generator so I can decide, or the random number generator can decide who wins the Amazon gift card. So if you have not given your heart yet for the tip, trick, feature that you liked, I did see some hearts coming through here, so that's awesome. If you have not thrown up the heart yet, make sure you do that because this is your last chance to enter into the giveaway for the Amazon gift card, which traveled all the way here to Sweden with me just so I would have something to show you guys. Unfortunately, whoever wins this is not going to get it for a week or two more because I am still in Sweden for another week, but it will get to you eventually. Okay, so I see a few more hearts coming through here. We're almost about to be done. We'll cut it off in just a second. Let me see if I can figure out how to tell how many hearts that we have. Let's see. I'm looking around here. I don't know how Kelsey figures out where this information is. Kelsey, I need you. I thought maybe I was going to be able to figure it out. I was a little overconfident. Okay, so put your hearts in there. We'll still see. Let's see. We might have to do this after the fact, but that's okay. You guys have given your hearts. We'll do it right after the fact, and we can put it in the comments. Let me just try going one more place and see if I can figure it out. It can't be that hard, right? It's just technology. If you're just now tuning in, just to fill you in where we're at. Oh, I did it. I found it. Okay, it's 11. The number is 11. Let me switch my view so I can show you the number generator here. Okay, the number is 11. So good luck, everybody. I'm going to put 11 here. We're going to generate 6. Okay, so I need to go back to that view just so that I don't give away anybody's information. I'm going to switch my view here so you can't see me counting through the number 6. Okay, switch to the heart. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I think by my laugh, I think we know who won. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Lynn, Oliver Dunn, you have won the gift card again. That is so awesome. Anybody who tunes into this live stream frequently knows that Lynn wins absolutely everything that we give away on the Configura live stream, and you've won again. And so I think it's only fair that you get the prize again because of your loyal support for the live stream, but also just because you're one lucky duck. So Lynn, you win again. Congratulations. Of course, we already have your mailing address because you win all the time, which is great. So I will be sending this to you when I come back from Sweden. So now you have kind of a fun little gift card that made its way all the way to Sweden and will make its way all the way back to Sweden. Okay. That's what I have for you guys today then. Of course, we have upcoming dates, more updates, more tips and tricks, more User of the Month interviews. Make sure you get those dates on your calendar so you can tune in for all the upcoming live streams. I will be back in Grand Rapids for the rest of them, but that's okay because that's always so fun too. So thank you guys so much for joining in. I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day, and we'll talk to you all soon. Bye.